Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and welcome to the original source of news about the Flat Earth hosted by someone that can't properly grow a beard, Flat Earth News. So what a month March was. So much happened, I probably won't be able to remember everything. So you had Globebusters getting taken down for a bit, you had all the OSI stuff going on, you had Jiren trying to control all the fallout from the Behind the Curve documentary, whole lot of stuff going on. But before we get into all that crazy stuff, I'd like to bring attention to Simon Dan and his marathon run. And he's running for Action Duchenne. Action Duchenne is a charity for people that have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a genetic disorder that causes something of a degradation of the muscles of people that inherit it. It does primarily affect males, but that's because we only have one X chromosome, which is the chromosome that it's on. It is possible for females to get Duchenne, but it is extremely unlikely. But even if they're just a carrier, they could have symptoms of it. And worldwide, about 1 in 3,500 males have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Now I will be putting both a link to Simon Dan's video and a link to his Just Giving page in the description, so you can go check it out and donate if you have a bit to spare. Even though, judging by some of the names of people who have already donated, quite a few of you have probably already seen it. I've seen the Creaky Blinder's name there, I've seen Anti-Flatter's name, and the most interesting name there was Nathan Oakley. But the really big question that I want answered is, does Simon Dan actually have legs? I guess we'll find out. Anyway, on to memes. So maybe you've heard of Hiith. It's understandable if you haven't, because I'm far better anyway. But if you haven't, I'm pretty much his clone with an accent and a better haircut. But he also stole my 100% original idea about having a show that covers the news that's been going on in the Flat Earth world. I put a lot of work into coming up with that idea. And by a lot of work, I mean watching an episode of This Month in Religious Bullshit by Dusty Smith and thinking, what if that was applied to Flat Earth? Now I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, oh, he just happened to come up with a similar idea to you. Just calm down. And to that I say, how can I stay calm when they're putting water in the chemicals that's turning the friggin' frogs gay? Bah! Nah! But I do have evidence that he copied me, aside from us both looking exactly the same. Evidence number 1. He called his show Flat World News, which is very similar to Flat Earth Noose. It's almost like he took the name of this show, swapped the Earth for World, and then pronounced it like a pleb. It was also hosted by someone who wasn't Hiith, kind of like how I have Alexa Jonas hosting this sometimes.
I am your host, Flathead.
He also did an oopsie and included a PewDiePie joke, kind of like what I often do.
Now, as a news anchor, I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but...
And on his shelf, he happened to have Need for Speed Most Wanted and Need for Speed Underground. And they're on PS2 as well. So I think that's definitive evidence that Hiith copied me. And you know, being Hiith's clone, I understand how hard it is for him to come up with anything original. But I'm starting to suspect that I'm not the clone, but Hiith is. Because what sort of person has to steal ideas from their own clone? And sure, he did a bit of an original take. He took it from the angle of a flat earther rather than a globe earther, which is why my copy strike was declined. But he pretty much did exactly what I do. So I think the only way to solve this is for me to challenge Hiith in a battle to the death. Loser has to rename their channel to the winner's name plus a 2 on the end. Or you could just come on an episode of Flat Earth News or go on Planarwalk. That's what Creaky did. Now on to something more serious. There have been multiple accusations thrown in my direction of me trying to get people kicked off YouTube. Now apparently there was a channel called Triujitsu that got kicked off YouTube. Now I did not know that that was a channel with content. All I know is that the person running the account left a whole lot of comments on my channel that got marked as spam. Later the account was apparently terminated due to a violation of YouTube's terms of service. Now what terms of service did the account violate? I don't know. And if the person running the account feels like they're in the right on all this, then I recommend they go talk to YouTube to try and get the decision reversed, rather than come complain to me. Because, and this may come as a shock, I am not a YouTube employee. I feel as though a whole lot of people just did not see that coming. Wait, did I just roll my H? Now not only that, but Jirenism had a privacy complaint, which I've already explained I have had nothing to do with that. And also Tim Osman's channel has been taken down as well. Now if I'm correct, he's not accusing me directly, But at the very least, he thinks that I'm a part of the group that he thinks took down his channel. Now, if Tim Osmond thinks that his channel was taken down in a coordinated effort by the OSI group, he's wrong. I myself have no idea who took down Tim Osmond's channel. And MCToon, who's the head of the group, doesn't seem like the sort of person who would want to take down a person's channel. So with all these people trying to accuse me of taking down channels and giving out privacy complaints, they're wrong. The only sort of complaint that I'd give out is if someone tried to dox me. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. You could literally call me a sheep shagger in your video, and I would not give two flying fucks. And whilst we're on the topic of all the OSI stuff, there are people that actually believe that that document was real, even though we've proven it to be fake. If you still believe it's real at this point, I don't know what to say. There's so many things that just wouldn't make sense if it were real. I am going to delve deeper into this in a future video, but it's quite ridiculous at this point to believe that the document is real. And I've also received quite a bit of backlash from people saying that this document delegitimizes a lot of flat earth debunkers. And that is a fair criticism. There are people that will take this document to say, oh look, we can't trust the globies. And when someone uses this document to accuse either me of being a liar or someone else of being a liar, there's two things that I suggest. The first thing I suggest is letting them know that not every globe earther was in on it. Sean Hufford, Sly Sparkane, they had nothing to do with it. In fact, when they found out about it, they were against what we had done. And Tim Osmond also had nothing to do with it. As much as I disagree with him on quite a few things, he does make some good observations, which do match up with Soundly's. And the second thing is for when Jiranism calls me a liar, because I'm pretty sure that there's no one in Jiranism circles that may have lied about being a commercial pilot. And I'm sure that if someone that Jiranism knew was exposed for lying about being a pilot, that Jiranism would distance himself from that person, right? But let's just say that Jiranism loves his beef noodles, so can rationalize that kind of thing. Does that mean that faking a document is worse than lying about being a commercial pilot? Maybe Jiranism should stop with holier-than-thou bullshit. After all, he wouldn't want to be accused of double standards now, would he? Now, I did make an open letter to Jiranism, and as far as I know, he has not responded. So I kind of doubt that he's going to back up on his poisoning of the well. Because that's what it is, isn't it? Saying that you can't trust me or Soundly or MCToon because we pulled a prank is just poisoning the well. That'd be very much like me saying that you can never trust any of Jiranism's observations because Bob lied. And I'm not trying to claim that. In fact, some of Jiranism's observations are brilliant. Interesting, in fact. So when it comes to what I trust, I usually go by a case-by-case basis. If you present an argument and you do not present any evidence for that argument, I could dismiss it, but usually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and have a look, see if I can find any evidence. If I cannot find any evidence for it, I'll usually just dismiss your claim. If I can find evidence, I'll usually adjust what I think about your claim based on the evidence. But often I just find flat earthers will ignore or dismiss my claims. And the flat earthers that I have some respect for are the ones that actually try to address the points that I make. I do actually also have a bit of respect for the flat earthers that are actually trying to create a model rather than just saying, nah, it's not a globe. But anyway, also in the news this month, we had Nathan Oakley had a bit of a falling out with totally legitimate commercial airline pilot Boob Noodle. So essentially, Nathan Oakley is saying that the 15 degrees rotation does not prove anything. The reason being is because he says that it's not an experiment. And Bob Noel is saying, well, that's bullshit. We make an observation and there's a reason for the observation. And I have to agree with Bob on this. If you make an observation, there is a reason for that observation, regardless of whether it's natural or not. And if Nathan Oakley really wants this in experiment form, let me take a crack at it. The hypothesis would be if the Earth is rotating, then we should see a 15 degree per hour drift on the gyro. If the Earth isn't rotating, then we should see no drift. Your independent variable is the time, your dependent variable is the drift. And because the hypothesis of 15 degrees per hour of drift was correct, that is a good indicator that the Earth is spinning. But of course Nathan Oakley isn't going to accept that because he throws a bit of a tantrum when your independent variable isn't your cause. And speaking of Nathan Oakley throwing a bit of a tantrum, there was actually recently a thing where Nathan Oakley was on Sleeping Warriors show with Conspiracy Cats. And during that show, Nathan Oakley just would not answer Conspiracy Cats' question. Nathan, tell us all what diffraction is already. And I gotta say that the independent variable there is whether or not Nathan Oakley has his mute button, and the dependent variable is whether or not Nathan Oakley can handle the debate that he's in. Which is why Nathan Oakley will never come on my debate. If Nathan Oakley does come on my open debate, I will literally change that for one video to say subscribe to Nathan Oakley. The condition is that he comes on my open debate and stays longer than 15 minutes. And I'm not even joking, if you ever see this whiteboard here say subscribe to Nathan Oakley in a video, then he has come on my debate. And while I'm on the topic of Nathan Oakley, apparently the Nathan Oakley that gave money to Simon Dan's charity marathon is not the real Nathan Oakley. Sleeping Warrior pretty much said that it wouldn't actually be Nathan Oakley, so. And I can't say I'm disappointed, because you can't really be disappointed in something that you wouldn't expect. But I would have been impressed if it was the real Nathan Oakley. And another thing that happened this month, and this is very brief, is Professor Dave actually put out a video explaining why the Earth isn't flat. Now, Globebusters went ahead and tried to pick apart that video, so Professor Dave responded to them. And honestly, Professor Dave's response was brilliant. I highly recommend you go check that out. And honestly, if Professor Dave wants to come onto my channel and explain what an independent variable is, that would be very much appreciated. Because so far it seems that people that actually know what they're talking about when it comes to science actually seem to agree with me on what an independent variable is. So far it's either myself, a science teacher, and a physicist that are wrong about what an independent variable is, or it's the flat earthers that are wrong. And the last news story, I hit 3,000 subscribers! Where's the music? Should be music here. So yes, that's the thing that happened, and if you'd like to see me reach 10,000 subscribers to replace this play button, then why not leave a like and subscribe, and also share the video out to your friends. As always, a big shout out to my $20 patrons, Agnostic Aussie and What Jesus. If you'd like to support me, you can do so on Patreon, link will be in the description. But I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching. So maybe you've heard of Hiith. It's understandable if you haven't, but